Well, hello, this is Pastor Brian Anderson, and we are back in Matthew. We are again in chapter 13, and I want to look at two different parables that are actually very similar. It's the parable of the treasure in the field and the parable of the pearl of great price. So it's Matthew 13, verses 44 to 46. I'm going to go ahead and read that. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in the field, which a man found and hid again. And from joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls. And upon finding one pearl of great value, he went out and sold all that he had and bought it. So both of these parables teach the same basic truth. Belonging to Jesus Christ and his kingdom is so precious that we forsake everything else in order to gain that. In both parables, the person goes and sells all that he has, and he buys the treasure, and he buys the pearl. But there is one detail in the second parable that is not mentioned, but it is mentioned in the first one. And here it is in verse 44. It says, and from joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. From joy. This guy is giving up everything he has, and he's doing it with joy. Now, how could anyone joyfully give up everything that they have? Well, I think it can only be if they understand that the value of what they are getting so far surpasses everything they're giving up that it's not even something you can measure, something you can't even calculate. And that's exactly what the Apostle Paul discovered, and he wrote about that in the book of Philippians, chapter 3. He says in verse 8, more than that, I count all things to be loss in view of the surpassing value of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and count them but rubbish, so that I may gain Christ. Now, at one time, we were blind to the glory and the value and the preciousness of Jesus Christ. We saw way more value in achieving fame or power, or money, or sexual gratification, or drugs, or you fill in the blank, than we did in the person of Jesus of Nazareth. So what happened? How did things change? Well, let me try to answer that from 2 Corinthians 4, verse 6. God shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. My friends, if you see Jesus to be glorious, if to you he is precious, if to you knowing him fills you with joy, so that you're willing to give up everything else in life in order to have him, the only explanation I have for that is that God has shone in your heart. We were once blind, but now we see. He opened our eyes, he gave us life, and he caused us to be born again, to become new creatures in Jesus Christ. Give thanks to God for his indescribable gift. If you truly see and feel the preciousness of Christ, give God thanks for that, because that didn't come from you. That came from him. May God richly bless you.